In this episode, I'm going to show you how to take a project that you like, that's most productive for you and your team, and build a template so that you can reuse those best practices and processes over and over again. Let's get started. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Settings. We're going to go to Transfer, Full Project Transfer via Native XML, Export. Select Export. Send it to the path that you want to go, all right? Your target. And I've set up something on my desktop simply called the same name as the project that we're going to be targeting, and that's blank template A, right? Don't need to put that backslash in there, but I'm going to do it anyways. All right, so hit export. You can see over in system output, it is exporting all of the tables that are touched in this project, right? It's done that fast. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to close. All right. So now we've rolled over to our blank template A project. It's a completely clean blank. There are no resources, no patterns. There are no UML types such as your tag values, completely blank. All right. So what we're going to do is import. So we're in the Settings tab, Transfer, Full Project Transfer via Native XML, Import. We're going to go out to where we just exported. It remembers the last drive that was used, and we're going to select Import. And it says, warning, all the target model data will be deleted when uploading this. So what this is saying is that if you have anything in this project, it's wiping it out. It's replacing the data tables with the imported. So we're going to hit yes. Here comes the imported data. It's coming in. It's building. You can see over in system output, it's importing all of this table data into this blank project. It's now done. And then when it's done, it brings up the project. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. Don't panic. We're in blank template A, all right? Our other project was not touched. It's still there. See, this is the SQL instance. It's all there. So when we're looking at this, the instance we came from, this is what we just transferred to, all right? So we're going to go ahead and close our SQL project and only focus on this local QEA file project that's here. All right, very important. All right, make sure it's clear that this project here is not the original. So one of the things I will do is I will put a title to something like that. It just means that, well, this is not that other project. Might put template, I might put enter title here because we're creating a template. The doc repository from the other project, well, you may keep a stored repository for each project in a separate folder. So you just simply are going to, I hit the shift and the enter. The other way to get to this is to right click. It's locked right here. I wonder if it's going to let me do that. Go to properties. Brings up the same thing, and you could change the path to where the project is supposed to go. You could even make this path the template or a fictitious path because you don't want anybody writing to it or doing anything in it, but you want to set it up where they'll come in and change the alias name to fit whatever it is. So this is, and usually I will use some sort of bracketing. So enter new path, something like that. So they know to make sure they're entering the new path. Here's project navigation strategy. We're going to leave that because we want it to go to this file that everyone liked. It'll pick up the project name. Because we changed the header, it'll change all headers that are linked on it as we're building this template. And that'll make more sense in just a moment, right? Now, the next thing we're going to do is start cleaning up some things. For example, project management, right? I'm just going to double click on it and then find it in the browser. So all of this here, these packages, I can decide I want to keep them, but for something like Kanban, I may want to clear this, clean it out. These other files, I might want to clean them out. I might want to keep the navigation or landing page, but I might want to clean out some of the content that is inside this copy, all right? Like for instance, I might want to keep the checklist. So what I'll do is I'll clear the checklist, and you can right click on here, clear checklist, that fast, right click in here, clear checklist, because I like the checklist. I want to keep it. So I will go through, try to stop doing it right here in front of you because I want to save time, but go through, I want to keep this folder. I want to keep this checklist, and I want it part of the template. Now, the other thing you'll notice is project stakeholders. This is a model view. If I double click this, it goes to it's reusing the SQL to mine this data. So settings, model type, people. So it's mining this data table. Now, project to project, your teams are going to change. You can blow this out and make this empty. So you can go to each one and you can delete each one of these. Totally up to you. I'm not going to do that in front of you. And then when I refresh this, those names will be missing. That way, each time I come in, I can import the team using a reference data import that represents this project, and it'll pick it up. And I'll try to show that to you near the end of the video if there's enough time, right? So I'm not going to do this on screen, but what I want to do is I want to go through these packages. Let me move the browser out here. I want to go through these packages and pick and choose what I want to reuse in this template, like the project dashboard. Well, do I want these graphs? Well, yeah, the data is going to could be cleared out, and none of this will show, but the graph will pick it up as they're coming in. If I double click in this, you can see the SQL. It's mining the table for this SQLite instance in this local repository, this local instance, right? So I might want to keep this and keep my graphs, my dashboards, my progress, approves, all of that. I might want to keep all of that. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to get rid of what? Requirements. Do I need all the requirements? So if I go over here to requirements management, I have all of these requirements from this project, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out all of these requirements. Now, we'll talk more about requirements management from a database perspective, because when you're managing your requirements, some of these requirements as part of, in this case, release 1 is where they're coming from. They actually may be deferred to release 2. And I want to bring them in eventually, right? We're going to talk about that in a separate episode, how to port requirements from project to project so that you can build on them on particular releases or sprints. So I just deleted all of the projects. I kept the namespaces of the packages, but there are no requirements in here, all right? Non-functional, all the requirements are removed, all right? They're over in the other SQL instance. And again, we'll talk about it later in porting, but I wanted to prove a point. What I'm going to do is move browser over here for a second. I'm going to right click in here and I'm going to reload the diagram. And evidently it's picking up some requirements from somewhere because I've got 4, 2, 8. So 16, 29. I have 4 approved, 8, 12. So these numbers here are showing that there's some residuals that I missed that are somewhere in here. But I can go through and I can clean those up. And now I have the dashboard that I want to reuse in the next project. And to find elements within your blank project that you want to remove, you can use search. So we're going to go to search, model search, and I have my own custom searches showing you how to do this in the channel. And we're going to create a new, well, we're going to use T objects. And we're going to look at this SQL. There we go. It's very simple. It just, I want to look for the object ID, type, and name out of the T object table. Let me go ahead and hit that. Now it found everything. So I have filtering turned on. I want requirement. All right. So now it found these requirements that we were looking for. And then what I can do is I can right click in here, find in browser and go, oh, I want to keep these requirements. I may want to tag them differently so they don't show up in my dashboard, but I want to keep those requirements. So you can find any element in the T object table. We talk about that in this channel as well. So you've learned how to build custom SQL yourself. That's beneficial utility for working in your projects. All right, so we've gone through here and we've cleaned up, removed all the unnecessary elements for our template, right? Now, there's a couple of things we want to make sure we are cleaning up. Number one, this explanation mark here, this red explanation mark, we want to double click, find that element in here, and you can see this little lock right here. We want to unlock everything. We don't need it locked unless you want it locked in the template. I would suggest, hey, this is a blank template. No one's made decisions. Another thing is this package is under package control, all right? So we can move this over here, go to settings, package control here, and turn that off, right? We don't need this package under control. Now that red mark on the folder is cleared, right? Go back through here. You can always click contents, expand branch, expands everything. So it just went through and it expanded everything, right? Then you can just scan through, double check, and clear up any navigation cells or elements that you do not want in your project template. I want to say blank project template, but it's no longer blank. And here's these requirements we were talking about earlier. We want to leave these in here. We'll just retag them so that when running the dashboard, they don't show up with the business and other functional requirements for a project. I just saw an explanation mark for locked element right here, stakeholders. Open it. There's the lock. So just last second cleaning up so we have a template that works well. All right, now I'm going to go back to my common layout, put the browser, project browser where I like it over in the right, close this, and close this, and there we go. Everything should be ready to go. All right, the last step is going to be to close this and launch our original project just to test, make sure it would be too late by this time. So let me do that. And here we are. We're back in the original project that we just copied. You could certainly go through, test things to make sure that nothing got touched. We were working in a completely separate environment. Another thing you can do is, run baselines. You can run, let's see here, QA. It's right in front of me, QA. QA, here we go. Quality assurance, project management, under construct tab. And look at statistics. So you can do a stat count or a report here before and after to ensure that nothing was touched or done. Now, this project's ongoing, so that might not work because you have team members that are still working this project, so stats can change. All right? So the next thing we're going to do is rename our blank template A QEA file. We're going to give it a name, and I'm going to say, let's see here. What do we want naming convention to be? I'm going to say just template, lowercase template, and then I don't want it to be blank template. full project template. And then I don't need the A in there. I like to go V1 and then underscore again for the versioning scheme. This could be V01, whatever your versioning convention is, and then just put in the date that it was created. All right, now let's double click it and launch it. Because we had security access, we have to put in password. It's the same password for the other project that we exported when we built this, because it brought in all of the enabled security features. And you could certainly remove those features. I don't, especially for model admins. I leave that feature in there so that they can access, and they can always go to settings, administration, and deal with changing passwords, disabling security, which I don't normally suggest, and those kind of things. All right. Then you're going to take your template and you're going to put it in your document repository where you keep your templates. You've got a good naming convention so you can easily identify them for reuse. And then when you're going to start a project, you simply would copy the template to your project source. I'm just going to do it right here. You would rename it, whatever that project is, project release A or 1 or whatever the project is called, right? And then we're going to launch it just to test it and make sure that everything is operating properly, and it should. Then the model administrator or the project manager would go through, title the project to whatever the formal project name is, and you're ready to go from a local perspective, but we normally work in SQL databases, much more effective. You get a lot more benefits when you do that. So in that particular case, you would go to settings, you'd go to transfer, full project transfer via connection, and it would go to whatever that from file to database target that you want. So your source is going to be local file, so wherever that file is located, and your target is going to be your SQL instance, whatever that is. All right. So what if you have more than just a single project effort in your Sparx project? You may have a program that contains multiple projects over multiple methodologies. Like you may have one methodology being followed in one project. You might have Agile being implemented in another project folder or file, and so on. So what we want to do is we want to create an XML via XMI, XML metadata interchange. We want to create something that we can bring into this main project without disturbing it. All right. So what we're going to do is hit Control, Alt, and E for export. We're going to export this via Native XMI. All right. And so we already have a target. We already have a name, starts out XMI to let us know, hey, this is not the full project import using Native XML that basically wipes out all data. This is an extension of that to bring in where we're going to strip GUID. So let me just go ahead and replace this with what we've used. And then we're using native format XML. You can use XEA, but I always use native XML. So we're going to go ahead and export this, and it's going to go out pretty fast, and it is done. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is, okay, I've gotten started. I want to go and name this, and we're just going to call this demo project. I want to say release 1, and hopefully I named that right. If I hit function key 2, yeah, I'll check it. All right. So now I've got my first release in here, and I want to bring in and start another package for the next release. These might be quarterly releases. So you're going to have quarter 1 or release 1, quarter 2 or release 2, etc. Let's go ahead and bring this in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the model, the root folder. we're going to hit Control, Alt, and I this time, and we're going to browse. We're going to find that file. Here it is, the XML. This is the XEA version. This is the XML version. This is the one we're going to bring in. All right, so I'm going to hit Open. Very important. Strip GUIDs, strip the global unique IDs in what we're bringing in, because we want all of the elements to have different GUIDs than the one that we just exported. And that's going forward for any time, because we're going to reuse this pattern every time we start a full project and then adding in other projects. So let's go ahead. So we've got strip GUIDs. We're not going to baseline, probably should, but let's go ahead and just hit import. So it's going out, it's bringing in that XML, and it's building our next package structure. And there it is done. And see, it's complete right here in progress. We're going to go ahead and hit close. And now let me minimize this. Here we go. Here's the original. Let's promote it to the top. And then here's the one that we just brought in. And you'll notice that it's set up exactly the same way. It has the cover sheet looks exactly the same way. So that's why you might give this one R1 main cover page, or main cover page for R1, main cover page for R2. Then you're going to have your titles in here so that people understand which one they're accessing at any particular time. And we can do that over and over. Control, Alt, and I, bring in another one, strip GUIDs, import, and it's going to bring in, and this might be release 3 or quarter 3 and so on. All right. And then in these packages, you could even add projects or efforts relevant to your agile process, because your packages are going to be a lot smaller. They're going to contain more agile methodology following in each one of them. But now we're able to very quickly bring in delivery efforts, resort them in order, name them accordingly, and hit the ground running. All right, that's going to conclude this video. I hope it was useful for you. Now you'll be able to start up projects really fast, because everything is going to be there from the template. Blank could have instructions in it that help modelers, project managers that are coming in understand what their roles and responsibilities are and what they need to do. So thanks very much for watching this. Until the next episode, happy modeling.